In an interview several weeks ago, the former United Kingdom Chief Rabbi, Lord Jonathan Sacks, referred to the COVID-19 pandemic as a revelation, even for atheists. He meant that this harrowing experience has brought into relief so much to us about our society, its fault lines, and its vulnerabilities that have long gone unnoticed and unaddressed. Speaking in more secular terms, others have referred to the need for a true reckoning, an accounting, to more fully appreciate how our world has been indelibly changed by the pandemic's magnitude and impact, and in what ways it needs to change in response to that impact. The beginning of this morning's Torah portion includes just such an accounting, a census of the Israelites conducted at the end of their 40 years of wandering through the wilderness. It took place, we are told, after a plague struck the camp, killing 24,000 individuals. This is the second census of the Israelites, and the two bookend Sefer Bamidbar, known for that reason as the Book of Numbers. The first took place a generation earlier, as the Israelites prepared to leave Mount Sinai and embark upon their journey. The numbers are a bit different, but in the aggregate, they are largely the same. The rabbis offer several explanations as to the meaning of these two countings. One interpretation found in the Midrash is that they were meant to measure the leadership of Moses, and they offer the analogy of a shepherd taking a flock out to pasture. The owner of the flock counts the sheep as they leave to roam and to graze, and then again as the shepherd brings them home. Similarly, God counted the Israelites as Moses led them into the wilderness, and then again as Moses began to transfer the mantle of leadership to Joshua, with God certifying that the numbers add up, even after the trials and tribulations of their many years of wandering. However, and despite the fact that their numbers were more or less the same before and after their journey, the Israelites were not at all the same people. The things they had experienced together, both the highs and the lows, the triumphs and the tragedies, had changed them indelibly. In fact, the very words that introduce the census in this week's portion are Vayihi acharei hamagefa, and it was following the plague. After the plague, something had changed. It wasn't the same. In fact, according to the classic 19th century commentator Malbim, it was actually this act of counting that itself miraculously ended the plagues. According to the Torah, each plague was a manifestation of God's anger at sinners within the Israelite camp. The first time, the episode of the golden calf. The second time, the many Israelites seduced into worshiping Midianite idols. Perhaps then, we might understand that the plagues themselves, as devastating as they must have been, were also symbolic, meant as tangible expressions of how the Israelites, as a body politic, were sick. By accounting for each of the Israelites, God and Moses reaffirmed both the intrinsic nature of each individual, as well as their place and purpose within the larger collective. And it was actually that reaffirmation, both of the people and of the principles, that ended the plagues. In the year 2020, our own meditations on the COVID-19 pandemic reflect both of these interpretations. First, it is an accounting, a grading of our leaders, whose decisions, whose statements and judgments literally have meant life and death for so many thousands of people. And like Moses, they will have to face the cold reality of the numbers, and will all have the opportunity to judge whether they met this moment or if they let us down. At the same time, like the biblical Israelites, we are not the same people we were before the pandemic began. And in this spirit, the interpretation of Malbim dovetails with the words of Rabbi Sachs, who continued by declaring how the pandemic has shown us the inescapably interlinked nature of our humanity, the covenant of human solidarity, the thing that makes each of us not only an I, but part of the greater human we. So in the spirit of this understanding, the accounting we conduct is not a post-mortem, but actually the cure itself. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted long-festering racial and economic inequalities in American society. The difficulty for so many to take simple steps to protect others, wearing masks in public places, demonstrates a troubling lack of civic responsibility. The impatience that led to lethally premature reopenings in so many parts of the country betray our lack of national resilience and shared purpose. Perhaps the only thing that will definitively end what plagues us, even more than a vaccine, is a full accounting of our society and the forces at play within it, taking those concrete steps to more fully respect both the innate dignity of each individual and the lofty ideals to which our country aspires. Shabbat Shalom.